19. Percy Harvin was a human cheat code, unstoppable, untouchable, unreal. Urban Meyer called him the greatest player he ever coached. By 28, he was gone from the NFL. No injury announcement, no farewell, just gone. What could break a player this gifted? The truth wasn't on the field, it was in his head. Let's go back to where it started, when Harvin first broke the rules of football. Percy Harvin didn't just break the mold, he was impossible to categorize. When he stepped onto the Florida campus in 2006, he carried the weight of being the nation's top recruit according to Rivals.com. Harvin thrived on that pressure. The whispers followed him from high school. Disciplinary issues, character concerns, red flags that made some coaches nervous. But Urban Meyer saw something else when he watched Harvin move. Meyer had coached stars before, but Harvin forced him to tear up the playbook and build packages from scratch. The Gators system became a showcase for Harvin's ability to line up anywhere and create chaos for defensive coordinators. By his sophomore year, Harvin had over 1,500 total yards and 10 touchdowns, and that was while splitting time between positions and playing hurt. Against Vanderbilt, he became the first player in Gator history to rush for 100 yards and have 100 yards receiving in the same game. He could burn them deep, break ankles in the open field, or vanish into the backfield. Defenders had no answer. Harvin was a one-of-one in college. Who's the closest thing we've seen since? Let us know your pick in the comments. The 2008 championship season transformed Harvin from great player to mythic figure. Despite battling injuries throughout the year, he recorded 644 yards and 7 touchdowns while rushing for 660 yards and 10 touchdowns. His performance in the BCS National Championship game against Oklahoma became the stuff of legends. Playing on an injured ankle, he rushed for 122 yards and a touchdown on 9 carries while catching 5 passes for 49 yards. Meyer watched Harvin dominate the biggest stage in college football and realized he was coaching something special. The way Harvin avoided hits while running showed an intelligence that couldn't be taught. His ability to read defenses and find the perfect angle separated him from every other player Meyer had encountered. The accolades piled up: 2-time All-American, 2 SEC titles, 2 national championships. But Meyer's declaration carried more weight than any award. He called Harvin the greatest player he ever coached. But behind the highlight reels were whispers, red flags, character concerns, migraines no one fully understood. Urban Meyer ignored them, but they'd come back later with consequences. But college dominance was only the beginning. The league had no idea what was coming. When Minnesota took Harvin 22nd overall, they handed him a massive contract and instant pressure to deliver. History wasn't on Harvin's side. Rookie receivers traditionally struggle in their first NFL season. The speed of the game overwhelms them. The complexity of professional offenses confuses them. Many talented college stars take years to develop into impact players at the next level. Some never make the transition at all. Harvin silenced every doubt in week 1, catching a touchdown from Brett Favre, slicing through defenders, and making it clear he wasn't just ready for the NFL. The NFL wasn't ready for him. His rookie season statistics became the stuff of legend: 790 yards and 6 touchdowns through the air, 135 yards on the ground. But the numbers that truly electrified stadiums came on special teams. He returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns, including a 101-yard sprint that left jaws on the floor. Harvin became the blueprint. One defender wasn't enough. Subbing based on down and distance, useless. He broke the rules of game planning. His impact made coaches search for the next Percy Harvin. When the Offensive Rookie of the Year award was announced, Harvin became just the 5th Vikings player to earn the honor. He joined an elite list of Vikings legends that includes Adrian Peterson and Randy Moss. The award confirmed it. Harvin wasn't just destined for success. He was destined for superstardom. But beneath this dazzling success, something darker was already taking root. On the outside, everything looked perfect, but the cracks were growing. The warning signs appeared almost immediately after his rookie triumph. Behind the highlight reels and Pro Bowl selections, tensions with Vikings management simmered like a pot ready to boil over. The franchise that had celebrated him as their future was slowly becoming his prison. Even as he produced, Harvin grew frustrated with how the Vikings used him. The Vikings had their weapon, but couldn't figure out how to use him. His perfectionist mentality, the same drive that made him dominant on Sundays, became a source of friction during the week. Harvin demanded excellence from everyone around him. He questioned play calls that didn't utilize his skills. He pushed coaches to be more creative with his usage. What he saw as passion for winning, management interpreted as problematic behavior. The mounting frustration centered around his role within the organization and how the team treated him. The breaking point came in 2012 when Harvin shocked the football world with a trade request that no one saw coming. Fans who thought he was the franchise's cornerstone couldn't believe their ears. This was Percy Harvin, the player who had single-handedly changed their offense. The guy who could return kicks for touchdowns and catch passes that other receivers could only dream about. His vocal leadership style clashed with Minnesota's culture. He called out teammates who didn't give full effort. When he noticed flaws in the game plan, he spoke up. His standards were championship level, but the organization saw his intensity as disruptive rather than inspiring. The Seattle Seahawks offered him salvation in the form of a massive 6-year, $67 million contract with $25.5 million guaranteed. The numbers told the story of how much Seattle valued what Minnesota had let slip away. It wasn't just a contract, it was a statement. The reunion with familiar faces made the trade seem like destiny. Offensive coordinator Darrell Bevell had worked with Harvin in Minnesota and knew exactly how to unlock his potential. Quarterback Tarvaris Jackson provided a connection from their Vikings days. Wide receiver Sidney Rice offered another familiar target in the receiver room. The system and the relationships were already in place. Seattle looked like salvation, a title contender ready to unleash him. The Seahawks were building something special, and they wanted him to be the final piece of their championship puzzle. The Legion of Boom defense was already legendary. Now they had added the most explosive offensive weapon in football. This story is just getting deeper. If you're into NFL stories that reveal what really happens behind the scenes, make sure you're subscribed. We've got more coming. The trade to Seattle should have been the beginning of Harvin's greatest chapter, but this fresh start would reveal challenges that went far deeper than any organizational conflict. Seattle was supposed to be the answer. It only raised more questions. Harvin's body was breaking down, but the real enemy lived inside his mind. His Seattle career became a nightmare of documented struggles that left everyone searching for answers. The player who once electrified crowds spent most of 2013 sidelined after hip surgery. Reports of locker room altercations with teammates Golden Tate and Doug Baldwin started surfacing. Surgery after surgery, promise after promise, fading fast. It was ugly, a gifted player spiraling fast. Fans who had celebrated his Super Bowl victory with the team couldn't understand what was happening to him. The truth was darker than anyone imagined. Harvin admitted to Bleacher Report he used marijuana to manage anxiety throughout his entire NFL career. Every touchdown, every kickoff return, every game-changing play, he was managing crippling anxiety with a substance that violated league policy. Migraines made practice unbearable. Some days, it felt like a hammer pounding his skull. What teammates saw as a player not giving his all was actually someone fighting through agony that doctors couldn't easily diagnose or treat. After being diagnosed with sleep apnea, his migraines subsided, but the damage to his reputation and relationships had already been done. The migraines had haunted him since childhood, but the pressure of professional football made them worse. When the pain hit during practice, he couldn't perform at the level everyone expected. Coaches questioned his commitment. Teammates wondered if he cared. His mental health struggles manifested as physical symptoms that confused medical staff. Anxiety created chest pains that felt like heart problems. Panic attacks triggered symptoms that looked like other conditions. Doctors ran tests that came back normal, leaving everyone frustrated and Harvin feeling like nobody believed what he was experiencing. The pressure of being labeled a chosen one created an impossible standard that crushed his spirit. Every mistake felt magnified. Every bad play became proof that he was failing to live up to his potential. The expectations that once drove him now felt like chains. If you're enjoying the story so far, hit the like button. It helps more fans find videos like this. The realization hit hard. Harvin's greatest opponent was never on the field. It was the anxiety and pain living inside his own head. No amount of speed could outrun what was chasing him. No defensive back could tackle him harder than his own mind was already doing. These internal battles would ultimately prove stronger than even his legendary physical gifts, leading to a decision that would shock the entire football world. In the end, Harvin didn't fade. He disappeared. At 28 years old, when most players are entering their prime, Percy Harvin made a decision that stunned everyone. In April 2016, he walked away from the NFL forever. This wasn't a player whose skills had declined. This wasn't someone who couldn't find a team. Despite being a Super Bowl champion, he chose silence over stardom. Despite brief flashes of his old brilliance in his final seasons, injuries and personal struggles continued mounting like a debt he couldn't pay. In 2015, he lasted just 5 games with the Bills before landing on IR. His hip problems had become chronic. His knee issues never fully healed. Each season got harder as his body betrayed the talent that once made him unstoppable. Multiple teams still believed in his talent and wanted to take a chance on his explosive abilities. The combination of speed, vision, and versatility that made him special hadn't disappeared. But Harvin's body and mind could no longer handle the demands of professional football. The game that had once been his sanctuary had become his tormentor. His final stats told the story: raw talent, unfulfilled potential. He finished with 4,000 yards and 22 touchdowns, plus 900 rushing yards and 5 rushing scores. These numbers were respectable, but nowhere near what everyone expected from a player of his caliber. They represented what could have been rather than what was. His early retirement stunned a league that had never seen a player quite like him. Few players matched his versatility, not backs, not receivers, not return men. He was a one-man highlight reel who defied every conventional position on the field. The tragic irony hit hard when the truth emerged. His greatest strength had become his greatest weakness. The intense perfectionism that drove him to excellence also made every mistake feel like failure. The standards he set for himself were impossible to maintain when his body was breaking down and his mind was under constant attack from anxiety and migraines. All the talent in the world couldn't overcome the invisible battles he fought daily. Speed couldn't outrun anxiety. Agility couldn't juke depression. Vision couldn't cut through the fog of mental health struggles he faced. The war inside his head proved more devastating than any hit he took on the field. His openness about these struggles helped other athletes find courage to seek help for similar issues. His honesty helped others open up about migraines, anxiety, and the invisible weight of expectation. Harvin's premature exit proved that even the most gifted athletes are human, vulnerable to the same struggles that affect everyone. His career became a mirror reflecting the true cost of athletic greatness and the difficult choices some players must make when the game becomes unbearable. Percy Harvin was the NFL's ultimate weapon, but the pressure, the pain, and the perfectionism were always chasing him. In the end, it wasn't a defender that stopped him. It was himself. If this story hit you, you'll want to hear what happened to another generational talent who vanished just as fast. We'll see you there.